Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. It is October 27, 2024, a Sunday, and you know what that means? It means it is time for me to record and then release a technical update video. Interesting week, and I think I say that every single week, but if I had to choose a commodity or a chart of the week, I might choose Palladium. And funny enough, because I did go through some of the charts before I started recording this video, and funny enough, I have no idea what companies on the ASX dabble in palladium. Another good commodity is gold, and there are a plethora of choices when it comes to gold on the ASX. But when it comes to palladium, I have no idea. So if I remember, and the important word there is if I remember, I will Google or find which companies on the ASX dabble in palladium when I get to that portion of the video. Now, before I get to palladium and have a look at the commodities, I want to first have a look at indices. How are we performing in Australia versus Wall Street versus some other international exchanges? Is everything looking okay? Is there any weakness showing up anywhere in the world? And then we'll get to commodities. Then I'll have a look at some cryptocurrencies, bonds, some normal currencies, and then we'll get to 10 individual companies' charts, and all 10 companies are listed on the ASX. And I'm pretty sure there is a bit of gold and silver theme. At least 3 companies are in that space, maybe 4. Okay, so let's start this video looking at indices, starting with the XJO or the ASX 200. This is the weekly chart. Long time uptrend. In fact, the XJO has been trending up since 2009, portrayed by this or 2 sloping orange lines, which is it sort of represents a trading range. And only 3 times has the XJO been above or below the trading range. One of the times was during a black swan event, the COVID-19 financial panic, and then it quickly recovered. And only twice has the XJO been above the top of the trading range, and the second time was within the last few weeks. So the last time it happened before the last few weeks was back in August 21, and it fell fairly quickly below and stayed below until the last few weeks. And it was a really interesting week because we started the week above the top of the trading range, and then we had the really bad day on Tuesday. XJO fell 1.66%, I believe, or was it 1.68? Now, 1.66%. I still don't understand why we had a bad day. Could be just noise. Maybe the market just went, oh, we're above the top of the trading range, we have to sell. And the last 3 trading days of the week, not much action. If I remember correctly, the XJO was up 0.12, then down 0.12, then up 0.06. Not much volatility, so there wasn't much difference between the highs and the lows. The highs of the day, each day, was right on the top of the trading range. But we finished the week down, or XJO finished the week down, about 0.8% and finished below the top of the trading range. So it's still, that top of the trading range, or this trading range, is still holding firm. I'm still waiting for it to break. Now, I could wait, or we could wait for another 15 years, or it could break within the next few weeks. And if it does break within the next few weeks, it's going to be bullish for the XJO. So eventually this trading range will break. So anyway, in the past week, XJO down 0.87%. So a weak week. It's not a strong week. It was a weak week, but this happens quite regularly. In fact, if you have a look at the weekly chart for the XJO, down weeks happen about 53% of the time, probably. I think if you did the maths, it's probably maybe 55% of the time. So you should never panic when the XJO is down in just 1 week. And in fact, I should go through this. What's the record consecutive down weeks? During the COVID-19 financial panic, the XJO was down 5 weeks in a row. And in fact, I'm doing this very quickly. It's very rare to see it down more than 5 weeks in a row. Anyway, so that's what's happening with the XJO. We are just below the top of the trading range, down a little bit during the week. Who knows which way it's going to move from here, but just keep in the back of your mind that historically, when the XJO gets towards the top of the trading range, we have seen a bit of weakness in the months after. So it could fall to the bottom of the trading range, which would be a significant fall. We're talking about 20% drop. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen over a quick period of time, but there is a possibility it might happen. Okay, so let's have a look at the XSO. I did or was liking the XSO the last few weeks. Looked like it was moving into an uptrend, had broken out to a new multi-year high. So things are still looking good for the XSO. Slightly negative week, not as bad as the XGO, down 0.5%, but still negative. But that's okay. That is okay because the uptrend is still in play, particularly if you look at the weekly chart. If you look at the daily chart, there was a slight little pullback, a couple of down weeks, down days. In fact, on Thursday, it was down 0.8% when the XGO was only down 0.12%, I think. So there was a bit of a worse day for the small caps on Thursday, but the uptrend is not in threat just yet. So a little bit of pullback, and I'd like to see the XGO get above the highs we saw within the last few weeks. That would verify to me or confirm that the XSO is moving into an uptrend. You could even say it's already in an uptrend right now. So the XSO looks pretty good at this point in time. No complaints at all. Now, that's the Australian indices. Now let's turn our attention to Wall Street. How are the American indices looking right now? Now, I do know that Nasdaq had a good week. Dow Jones and the Russell 2000 did not have a good week. So there was a bit of a difference between the three. So let's start off with the positive one, the Nasdaq. And fun enough, on Friday, Nasdaq up 0.6%, Dow Jones down 0.6%. Now, we are heading into a really important week for Wall Street because this is the week that many of the bigger companies in the world report their quarterly numbers. So we're talking about Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple, and there's many more. They're all reporting this week. Now, I don't think they're going to disappoint the market. In fact, I received an email from Earnings Whispers, and the market is expecting all these companies to beat expectations. Now, if they don't, we will see a significant weakness in the markets because that would be a concerning sign if all the companies meet or missed expectations. Anyway, so this is the daily chart for Nasdaq. In fact, let's have a look at the weekly chart. In fact, Nasdaq was up slightly, 0.14%. In fact, I would assume that this was the only index that was up throughout most of the world. That's a long bow to say because we're talking about multiple indices throughout the world. But out of the major indices, I would assume the Nasdaq was the only one to be up. So up slightly for the week. And if you do have a look at the weekly chart, have a look at the monthly chart for the Dow Jones or the Nasdaq. There's nothing to complain about. I'm just going to go back to the daily chart. How's it look? Yeah, nothing to complain about here either. In fact, on Friday, there was a little bit of selling. So the Nasdaq did get above 20,500 and then it fell below that. And the reason that's important is because there is a little bit of resistance between about 20,500 and 20,750 because of the highs the Nasdaq saw back in July. So we want to see the Nasdaq get to a new high within the next few weeks, I think. If it doesn't, if it struggles, that could be a sign there might be a little bit of weakness in this particular index. Now onto the Dow Jones. I'll go back to the weekly chart. I'm pretty sure the Dow Jones had a pretty bad week. Talking about negative 2.5%. Yeah, that looks negative 2.68%. So significantly weaker than the Nasdaq. But when you have a look at the weekly chart, again, as I mentioned, having a look at whatever was XSO, XGO, on occasion, you're going to see some negative weeks for the indices. In fact, for any chart, you're on occasion going to see negative weeks. In fact, 50%, 50 to 55%. Now, I did notice, you will notice that the Dow Jones had a really good run of weeks in October, November, into December last year. In fact, into April. In fact, there was only a couple of down weeks over a 3 to 4 month period for the Dow Jones. And that really set up the run we've seen with the Dow Jones. And it's just continued. But since about April, we have seen quite a few bad weeks, but the good weeks outnumber the bad weeks. by quite a bit. And that's why the Dow Jones keeps on going up. And it's just pulled back from all-time high. So no complaints, maybe a little bit of profit taking, that sort of thing. So that's a weekly chart, daily chart. Yeah, this is just a pullback. Nothing to worry about. But 4 down days out of 5, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more weakness, and then Dow Jones starting to move back into its uptrend. Russell 2000, this one, yeah, I have nothing to complain about here. Generally, it's an uptrend. Looks fairly similar to the XJO, but I do have this purple box, which represents a bit of a resistance zone. It looked like last week it was trying to get above the top of the resistance zone, but it's failed. Now it's below. So that's an important zone for the Russell 2000. And if we see this particular index get above that zone, that will be bullish for small cap companies. Okay, so that's the USA indices, or Wall Street. Now let's have a look at some international indices. I'm just going to go back to weekly chart and go through just the weekly charts for these. So the Nikkei, 2 bad weeks in a row, down 2.74%, which is fairly consistent to the Dow Jones and even the Russell 2000, which I didn't show you the weekly chart for that, but it was down 2.99%. There you go. So down week for the Nikkei, still finding its groove after that, yen carry trade, which was 2 months ago. Still a little bit of volatility in the Nikkei, but definitely can't see. You don't see any downtrend here, so there's a bit of volatility, but you can't really say that there is an uptrend either. If you look at the daily chart anyway. Maybe the weekly chart, you could argue that. But the daily chart, yeah, you can't say there's any trend right now for the Nikkei. But definitely those that bad carry trade, yen carry trade days are long past. And I think there's just some lingering volatility since then. Hang Seng has been interesting. So a lot of stimulus coming into the China market, China economy. And we have seen the Hang Seng pullback. And I think it has found some support at these levels. And the reason I say that is the Hang Seng went on a really good run, and then we saw it pull back, and we haven't seen any selling since then. In fact, it's been going sideways. So that is a sign that there is a bit of support here for the Hang Seng, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Hang Seng go up from here. I would actually say that's the most likely move for the Hang Seng over the next few weeks, is a move upwards. And that's just based off chart recognition or pattern recognition, that sort of thing. Doesn't mean it will happen. I'm just saying that's the most likely path moving forward. Okay, so Hang Seng looks okay. In the weekly chart, yeah, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, down 6.5%. Last week, it was down 2.1%. This week, only down 1%. So the decreases are narrowing. And again, we more than likely will see a little bit of upside moving forward. Okay, now let's have a look at the the European indices, starting with the DAX. DAX down, yeah, DAX down a little bit, not surprising. It was a down week overall, apart from the Nasdaq, down 1%, but overall, DAX still looks pretty good. Weekly chart looks good, daily chart also looks good, and the record high was only reached last Friday, so 1 week ago. UK has been generally trading sideways over the last 6-8 months, and that's continued. This is the daily chart. It's been going sideways since about April, so about 5 months. In fact, if you look at the weekly chart, it's down again. FTSE down 1.31%. Okay, that's all I've got for the indices. If you have a look at the FTSE weekly, slowly grinding higher. Not much excitement when it comes to the FTSE at all. Definitely not like the Dow Jones or the Nasdaq, particularly the Nasdaq over the last 30 years or so. Okay, so let's turn our attention to commodities. We'll start off with gold, and we'll keep on the weekly chart. Gold had another good week. It just keeps on going higher. So this is by far the best looking commodity chart on the ASX. May not be the most intriguing. That's Palladium. We'll have a look at Palladium in a second. But gold up another 0.93%. What I'd like to see when it comes to gold is it take a breather, because this sort of movement is not sustainable. So I'd like to see gold just go sideways, or move into a similar pattern we saw back in April or between April and about July, where the gold just went sideways for a few months. I'd like to see a bit of a consolidation phase for gold. That would be very healthy moving forward. And if you have a look at many of the gold companies on the ASX, they look really good as well. I'll show you two of those, two possible gold plays, a smaller company, and I think it's an exploring company as well. So gold looks pretty good. Silver, in fact, let's have a look at the daily chart first. Yeah, there's one bad day for gold. That was on Wednesday, down 1.22%. But daily chart looks good. Weekly chart looks good. Now, when we turn our attention to silver, silver did pull back a little bit, particularly on Wednesday. So there was that down day on gold, and we saw silver pull back 3.43%. But unlike gold, where we did see it rise again, silver has remained flat. So a really good run in silver, a start of week, and it's pulled back a little bit. Now, this could be a healthy pullback. And we will look at one silver company on the ASX. And there was a question about this particular silver company, so I thought I'd answer that question as well. But generally, if you look at, or overall, holistically, whatever you want to call it, if you look at the daily chart for silver, it's still looking pretty good. No complaints. The breakout was last Thursday, was it? Last Friday. That was a breakout. And we have seen the silver price remain above that breakout level. Have a look at the weekly chart. It looks pretty good as well. You might say and argue that this particular 1 week candlestick is not the best looking one, but it's still okay in my book. Okay. Let's look at iron ore. Iron ore had, it was actually an up week, but if you have a look at the weekly chart for iron ore, there's nothing really to like here. Now, one thing you'll notice is the volatility is sort of decreasing. So if you look at the highs or compare the peaks and the bottoms of the troughs, the distance between the peaks and the troughs are sort of narrowing. So the highs are getting lower and the lows maybe not getting higher, but they're not decreasing. So the volatility is decreasing for iron ore. So the weekly chart looks uninteresting. Daily chart, I'm not interested in this either. It's, if anything, iron ore is in a downtrend. What about uranium? This is the uranium, or the Sprott physical uranium. A bit of a dip. This could be the buy situation. I'm not sure, or I am not sold quite on that just yet. And if you notice or look at many of the uranium companies on the ASX, you'll see a fairly similar chart pattern for all these. In fact, most of the companies' charts follow the uranium price. So, for instance, let's have a look at Palladium. You'll notice Palladium share price has dipped. It has dipped a little bit. And what about Boss Energy? Boss Energy share price has dipped with the uranium price, just a little bit. Bannerman, what about Bannerman? Has dipped a little bit. That dip for Bannerman has been a little bit more pronounced than some of the other companies, and this probably follows the Sprott physical uranium a little bit more than the Boss and Palladium. So again, it's very important to know that the price or the share price of many of commodity companies or mining companies follow the underlying commodity quite well. In fact, the correlation is quite easy to see. Okay, so that's uranium. Oil. This is another one where I have no idea which way it's going. If you have a look at the daily chart, if anything, there is a downtrend there. But if you have a look at the weekly chart, it's just been going sideways for a long time. It's been going sideways for a long time. So I have one oil company. Actually, I now have two because I, for some reason, bought some Karoon. But anyway, I just don't get excited about oil. I just don't get excited about this particular weekly chart. Even the daily chart, I don't get excited. And what else do we have? Natural gas. Natural gas had a little bit of a boom. I don't know what happened here. Could be just a bit of a chart thing. I don't know. Lithium down a little bit. Copper. This is interesting because copper, there's a nice little support level at about $4.30, and copper has been just above that level for about 10 trading days. I'd like to see copper go on a bit of a run to move well above that particular support level, because if it falls below that, that will be a bearish move. But it's a good sign that it's sort of going sideways, but I need to see it go on a run. I'd like to see it go on a run. I'd like to see the sentiment in gold move over to copper, but we're not seeing it just yet. Coal, this is Newcastle coal, just sort of still going sideways, but there have been signs of an uptrend developing, but I need a little bit more confirmation when it comes to coal. And we've got tin, nickel. I'm going to go through these quickly. Tin, not doing anything. Nickel, all over the place, up and down. But let's get to palladium. That's the whole reason we're here today, is to look at palladium. Well, that's wrong. Palladium looks, I like the look of this. This intrigues me the most. If I saw this particular chart and it was an individual company on the ASX, I would buy it. I would buy this because we've seen palladium in a long-term downtrend. I mean, you can't argue against that. It's been a downtrend since 2022. And we had been seeing signs of this downtrend possibly coming to an end. So we saw but sort of a double bottom at about, I don't know what price that is, but definitely a double bottom. It looks like the price of palladium was trying to move an uptrend. It tried to break out in the middle of September and pulled back, and then found support right on the moving average channels. In fact, the shorter-term moving average channel moved above, or is moving above, the longer term, and that's where the price of palladium found support, right when those two moving average channels sort of crossed over. So that's another good sign. And then during the week, palladium had a couple of really good days. On Thursday, it was up 9.11%. Not sure what caused that move. It could be just positive sentiment coming into the area or sector, or it could be maybe there was some news when it comes to palladium. And then on Friday, up another 2.9%. I really like this chart. I like this chart a lot. So what about palladium companies on the ASX? I have just no idea. Here we go. So this is from Market Index. ASX palladium companies full list. Apparently there's a global ex-physical palladium, ETPMPD. Didn't know that. Palladium. I wonder if you could just palladium. Here it is. Global ex-physical palladium. There are no buyers or sellers. Trade history. Not much trading in this. In fact, I would assume the chart looks okay. Well, there you go. There you go. This chart is starting to look pretty good. I like this chart. In fact, I'll have a look. This is just ComSec. ETPMPD. Gee, what's a mouthful? Where is it? ETPMPD. ETPMPD. There we go. So we can see there is a bit of a crossover. Look at the volume too, through 2024. I've mentioned a few times that volume can precede price action. And we have seen explosion in palladium being traded, or this ETF being traded on the ASX this year. And that was sort of an indication that maybe the bottom had come to an end. So someone was taking position in this particular ETF. And now we are seeing a breakout. I like this particular ETF. Maybe I'll buy some. I don't know. But the main thing I wanted to see was, I'm going to put that into my ETF watch list, is palladium companies on the ASX. So here is palladium. Apparently it's a soft silver white metal that resembles platinum. There you go. And here are some of the companies. I'm going to view this by market cap. So apparently Liontown Resources, Zimplats, which is a company in Zimbabwe. Chalice Mining. Well, that's interesting. Now, I'm not sure how much palladium some of these companies have. So, for instance, Liontown Resources, I just think lithium. Chalice Mining, I just think gold. Australian Vanadium, I just think vanadium. Panoramic Resources, I just think good views. Anson Resources, no idea. So there's not much here. So does Liontown Resources have palladium? Does Zimplats have palladium? I just think platinum. In fact, let's have a look at Zimplats. Maybe Zimplats is, because Zimbabwe is right near South Africa, and the whole reason I look at palladium is because of our South African friend, Anderson. production of platinum group and associated metals. So I'm assuming palladium fits into that. From the Great Dyke. That's an interesting word. So maybe Zimplats is the play here. And the other thing I know, do you know the chart for Zimplats has been under pressure? And maybe the chart for this company started to turn up. Oh, look at the volume coming in. Look at the volume. Someone is interested in Zimplats. So this could be the play. Zimplats. Zimplats. I'm going to write this down. Zimplats. And my other goal for the rest of today, once I've finished recording this video, is have a look at some of these other Palladium companies, just because of Palladium, the chart. The actually physical chart here looks pretty good. It's a beautiful chart. Anyhow, what about cocoa? Is this of interest? Ooh, cocoa. Ooh, complete opposite with cocoa. I better sell my cocoa futures. I don't. I'm not. I like this because I don't buy chocolate anymore because chocolate prices are ridiculous. Now, I'm not naive enough to not think that if cocoa falls, that means the price of chocolate will decrease. That's ridiculous. The margins of chocolate companies might rise, but they will not decrease their prices. That's not how it works. Anyway, so cocoa dropping. Anyway, let's turn our attention to Bitcoin and Ethereum. How are these looking? Now, Bitcoin did get close to 70,000 in the week, but I need to see get above 70,000 first of all, and then I need to see it get above 75,000. This is in American dollars, not Australian dollars. That's the main thing I want to see, is get above 74,000, which is the top of this trading range, and that would mean, is that an all-time high? Yeah, that'd be an all-time high for Bitcoin. Anyway, so it has been going sideways for 9 months. That's okay. These sort of consolidation phases are really healthy. They're really, good for whatever you're tracking, whatever it is. But there's always a but it needs to break above the trading range eventually, because it could break below and that would be a negative. So I suppose the best way to say it is these consolidation phases are healthy only if it breaks higher eventually. Ethereum, I'm not as bullish with Ethereum. I would say this is in a consolidation phase for about 2 months, but that could be in a consolidation phase in a downtrend, which means it's more likely to fall further. Don't know, but you would think if Bitcoin goes higher, then it should lift the rest of the cryptocurrencies. Maybe not the rest, but definitely Ethereum will see some lift from Bitcoin going higher. You would assume. I don't know. I'm not even sure there is. I'm pretty sure there is a correlation between Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but not a perfect one. Okay, so let's have a look at bonds. So bonds have been rallying. Keeps on going higher from 3.9% up to 4.5%. How far will it go from here? Who knows? I was actually fairly bullish when it comes to bonds, particularly the TLT ETF, which I'll show you right now, but not anymore. Yeah, I have no interest in this particular ETF. This is the TLT, or the Treasury Bond ETF. And don't forget, bond yields and bond prices are inversely related. So that means if bond prices or bond yields are dropping, bond prices should be rising. So they should be almost perfectly negatively correlated, the TLT and the bond yields. And finally, currency. And this is interesting because it looked like even currencies, there are resistance and support levels. So it looked like about a month ago that the Australian dollar was going to break out, move towards 70 cents. This dashed line was a resistance line for the Australian dollar, and it looked like it was going to break out, and then it failed. And it's dropped all the way down from 69 cents to 66 cents. And I think this is because I don't think there's going to be many more interest rate cuts in the United States. And I'm getting a lot of noise about that. I actually read or listened to a podcast the other day talking about heaps, or positioning yourself for the multitude of interest rate cuts that are going to happen in America. And I was thinking, as I was listening to that, I'm not sure it's going to happen like this. Anyway, so that's the end of the non-stock portion of the video. And again, Palladium is the commodity of the week. Looking pretty good. And maybe I'll buy some Zimplats, or maybe that ETF. I haven't decided just yet. Okay, so let's turn our attention to some individual companies' charts. These charts look interesting for a few reasons. And we'll start off with Andean. In fact, we'll start off with comments. So not Flight Center, not Polymetals. There was a question about, here we go. So Lee3582 says, why the big drop in Andean silver? So I thought I could answer this question and also look at Andean's chart. And this is the chart. And the first thing, and I looked at the chart after I saw that comment. Why the big drop in Andean silver? And then I looked at this chart and went, where's the big drop? Can't see any big drop. So there was one day there when the share price of Andean silver fell 7.4%. But look what happened before that. Look what happened a few days previous to that. The share price rallied 16.4% and then another 7.8%. That's why there was a little bit of a drop on that day. And this is, I don't want to be mean, but this sort of comment shows me that there could be a bit of, what's the word? Inexperience that these sort of down days are very common when the price of something has increased significantly over the past 6 to 7 months. Andean silver has increased from 25 cents to $1.50. So we're talking about a six-fold increase in the price of this. So we are going to see profit taking at some point. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, remember, there was that big down day in silver. And that's why, more than likely, Andean silver fell because there was a big down day in silver. Now, there could be a few things going, a few reasons why Andean silver share price is rising. It could be things to do with the company itself. I don't know anything about Andean silver. Do they have their projects in Chile? The Andes? I don't know. Also, price of silver is going up. So if they're doing really good things with their project, wherever it is in the world, and price of silver is going up, they have a lot of tailwinds behind it. So that's why the share price, or probably why the share price, has increased a fair bit over the past 7 months. The other thing I look at is volume. Look at the volume just increasing, consistently increasing. So this company is becoming more and well known by the market. And I do get quite a few comments, albeit one person just keeps leaving Andean silver comments in my videos. But this company must be gaining popularity out there. And I would also assume that a lot of people buying in silver are people who don't, or who are inexperienced when it comes to the stock market. So I fully expected, when I read this comment, to see a really big drop, and I just don't see any big drop. There is no drop in Andean silver. The share price is still an uptrend. You're always going to see these down days. In fact, look at Andean silver back in July. Share price of Andean silver went from about $1.05 down to 55 cents. And it didn't even break the uptrend. It was still in an uptrend. Those sort of movements will be very common for these type of companies, particularly these companies that have increased their valuation by 5-fold over a short period of time. Anyway, so interesting question. And yeah, again, I don't think that's a big drop. And it can be explained by the drop in silver prices and also profit taking. Anyway, so that's Andean silver. Now let's have a look at NuFarm. And we'll have a look at the weekly chart for NuFarm. So I do have this big purple box. That purple box represents a support zone. And that support zone was sort of started back in 2019. So it's been in place for 5 years. The share price of NuFarm has not fallen below the bottom of that purple box. It's tried to. Well, the whole reason it's the bottom of the purple box is because of what happened in November 2020. Share price of NuFarm briefly fell below 350. And the reason I put this purple box, it just represents a support zone. Whenever you see the share price of anything move into this sort of support zone, sometimes you'll see some buying coming in. The reason there might be buying coming in is because either subconsciously or consciously, a lot of participants in the market just know, well, share price of NuFarm is now $3.75. I could have bought this company back in 2020 at this price, and I blew it. The share price went on a run, and I missed the boat. Now I can buy some shares of this company at the same price. Wow, this is so good. I'm going to buy some shares. So that's why you see these supporter zones. Maybe value investors see really good value in NuFarm at these levels. I don't know. There could be numerous reasons why this is a support zone. So the way to play this, if you want to play it, if I was going to play it, I'm not sure if I will, what you do is, if you see the share price fall, so the bottom of that zone is about 340, top of the zone is about $4. So what you could do in the share price of NuFarm is 376, so sort of in the middle of the box. What you could do is buy some shares, particularly if it falls like to 350, buy some shares on the plan. The share price will rally well above the box eventually. You might have to be patient, and if it doesn't, if the share price falls to say 320, then that means this support zone has been broken, and that's sort of negative for NuFarm moving forward. So that's how you can play this particular scenario. Many ways you can play it, and maybe this is not part of your trading plan or investment plan. Maybe you just like to trade in companies that are in uptrends, that sort of thing, which is understandable. And I think it's very important that we have plans. We know what we prefer to do or how we do it. Whether you're a long-term investor or maybe even a day trader, you should have a strategy, preferably written down. In fact, I don't have a strategy written down, but I do know what I like to look at when I'm viewing charts. And this is a trade I have made in the past, and it has been successful on occasion. Now, NuFarm, and now we go to APA Group. Now, I don't have a purple box here, but I do have a support line. So APA Group is an infrastructure company. Some people have mentioned, look at the debt. I have not had a close look at APA Group. Have a look at the debt, but you would think, and this is my thinking when it came to this company, infrastructure company, dropping interest rates should be beneficial for this type of company. But we have seen the share price did move into a downtrend back in July, and it's kept on falling. I'm pretty sure the company released something negative during the week or a few weeks ago. Can't remember when they released that. Oh, they had the AGM during the week. No price-sensitive announcements. Something negative did happen to this company, and the share price did drop. In fact, on Monday, that's the weekly chart. Yeah, on Friday, the 18th of October, share price dropped 6.3%. There's nothing there. So it could have been a negative broker report or something. I can't remember. Anyway, the most important thing about APA Group is $7.20. So I had this line in for a while for APA Group, and this is a support area or zone. And if you have a look at the weekly chart, I developed this zone or this support zone or area for APA Group because of a lows the company saw back in 2016, 8 years ago. So if the share price falls any further than now, where it is now, at $7.18, we are talking about share price of this company getting to like a 10-year low. In fact, if you go back to the 2010s, the chart was a thing of beauty. This is a nice chart. But in saying that, if you look at most infrastructure companies on the ASX in the 2010s, that was one sector to be in. Look at Transurban, APA Group. If only Sydney Airport was still on the ASX. Really good period for these type of companies. And then if you have a look at the chart since, say, 2018, 2019, not a thing of beauty at all. So a little bit of weakness in APA Group, but this could be a support zone for the shares in this company. So another way to play this one is to buy some shares right now at $7.18, and on the plan that share price might bounce. Might have to be patient, and if the share price falls to say $7, just take a small loss. Okay, I'm trying to find some positive charts, but last three companies have not been positive. Now, Endeavour Group is an interesting one because I almost bought some shares in Endeavour Group back in August because it looked like Endeavour Group was trying to move into an uptrend. It looked like it, but I decided just to remain out, just to wait for their results. And I'm very glad I did that because when the company released their results on the 26th of August, it wasn't met with any enthusiasm from the market. In fact, the share price fell 6.9% on that particular day. And not only that, share price has kept on falling since then. So that was sort of the announcement that really, I wouldn't say shifted sentiment, because sentiment was trying to shift to positive. I'd say at least sentiment was negative or was neutral, but it definitely shifted sentiment more towards negative than positive. And the very fact the share price has kept on falling means the market probably got it right. The market got it right that this was not a good report from the company. And the share price has kept on falling. So as more and more analysis looked at the numbers, maybe the results, it took a while for the results to digest throughout the investing community. So that means maybe 3 weeks later, someone actually had a look at their results and went, oh, these are not very good. I should sell my shares. So sometimes it takes a while for announcements or results to move throughout the investing community. Sometimes it can take months. Anyway, the most important thing about Endeavour Group is there was a nice little support price at about $4.80. And the share price of Endeavour Group has fallen through that price in the past week. So this could be a negative move from Endeavour Group. Now, Endeavour Group is a little bit popular, particularly among some value investors. So value investors, I have heard, have or do like the value in this company. They do like the moat, that sort of thing. But I prefer to just trade this company. In my opinion, Endeavour Group is not a high-quality company. And for non-high-quality companies, I prefer to trade them than own them for the long term. And to be honest with you, if you look at the weekly chart for Endeavour Group, since they spun out of Coles, this is not the chart of a high-quality company. But maybe there is value. I don't know. Haven't had that closer look of the company. Palladium Asset Management. I'm pretty sure there is a takeover play for this company from Regal Partners, I believe. Not sure what's happening with their takeover bid. Now, where is it? Here it is, update on NBIO from Regal Partners. Now, the company, or Palladium Asset Management, did release a funds under management and business update. It was actually positive. I was like, ooh, this is positive. And that's why we've seen a little bit of strength in Palladium Asset Management. Now, the takeover bid offer did also help. But this is probably the most bullish I've been when it comes to this particular chart. I did become a little bit bullish back in January 2023, but I didn't play that. But apart from that, this is the best the chart has looked since 2021, when the share price of the company was above $4. Now the share price is just above $1. So there's a few things going for Palladium Asset Management. We have this good announcement. I actually was impressed. I thought, oh, this is the first signs of maybe a bit of a turnaround in the company. I believe their funds under management actually rose. I think they did, yeah. Positive investment performance drove funds under management higher over the month in September to 12.5 billion, an increase of 2%. There was still net outflows, but it's still moving in the right direction. So I do like this chart for Palladium Asset Management. I'm not sure if I'd play it just because of the company, but that could be my mistake. Okay, now on to two gold companies. So I've already shown you one silver company. Now on to two gold companies, and I'll finish this video looking at three healthcare companies. Now, first one is Chalice Mining. So this one popped up when I looked at Palladium companies on the ASX. This has been a bit of a market darling back in 2020, 2021. Share price rallied from almost nothing to $12, and then we saw the share price pull back. I'm pretty sure I talked about Chalice Mining when it comes to the Lassonde curve. I won't show you that now, but maybe this company is moving into an upward cycle on the Lassonde curve. Now, the other thing I like it, of course, gold is rallying. I'm not sure how close this company is production. Maybe they're years and years away, but price of gold is going up. And it seems like a lot of the positive price action in gold companies have been the producers, and maybe some of the money that has been going into gold producers is now going into gold explorers. And I'm starting to have a closer look at gold explorers, and some of their charts are starting to look really interesting as well. I saw one, I forget which one it was. Was it Rox Resources? Yeah, Rox Resources. There's a nice, really big volume coming through in the last couple of weeks, and possible breakout for that company. However, we saw the same thing back in April, albeit on much lower volume. So this is a sort of a chart that I'm looking at more and more. So gold explorers. So the money that has been going into gold producers now might be going to gold explorers. Anyway, let's go back to Chalice Mining. So I do like this chart. It's sort of broken out above $1.80. And I do like this chart. Chalice Mining. So don't ignore gold explorers, because if gold prices keep on going up, some of these companies could see significant upside from where they are right now, particularly if they haven't seen any increase over the past few months. Okay, so I like Chalice Mining. Also, really like the next one, which is Kingston Resources. I've been following this for a while. This is a gold producer, albeit a small one. For instance, their market cap is $78 million. Not even sure if they're profitable yet. They have been profitable the last year. Yeah, they were profitable. Not a lot of revenue, like talking about $40 million of revenue, but share price had been going sideways. So not much interest in this company, even though gold prices are increasing. And then all of a sudden interest in this company. Now, the first signs of sudden interest was back on the 19th of September. We saw really big volume coming through and not much share price action. So again, volume preceding price action. And then all of a sudden, massive volume coming through in the last 6 trading days, and the share price has increased from about 8 cents up to 11 cents. So this is a good looking chart. I would prefer a little bit of a pullback, because the share price has really increased significantly in about 3 or 4 trading days. And that's on pretty high volume as well. I don't think the company has released anything. KSN? Oh, they did. No, they didn't. That was a month ago. For some reason, I thought, yeah, that's a month ago. So have a look at Kingston Resources, another potential gold play on the ASX. And definitely, if you look at the longer term chart here, the share price looks like it's turning upwards into an uptrend. And look at the volume too. This is daily volume over the last few years. It's just exploding volume in the last few months. So that's Kingston Resources. In fact, I could show you any gold company on the ASX, almost any gold company, and they're going to look good, apart from maybe Newmont. By the way, Newmont, 2 big down days in a row. This could be by the dip situation. Oh, I keep doing the wrong chart. Newmont. Yeah, beautiful uptrend, 2 big down days in a row. Share price has dropped from $88 to $70.74. Okay, so 3 healthcare companies coming at the end of the video. First one is Fisher & Paykel. I do or am trading this. Bought some shares at $24.01 back in March. Sort of like a that was sort of a breakout. And I've raised my sell price for Fisher & Paykel to $31. So I'm going to make a pretty good profit with Fisher & Paykel. So we saw the share price take off on the 23rd of August, a positive either trading update or positive results. And then we saw a pullback all the way back down to $31. And then the share price started to rally again. So $31 is my sort of a stop loss, a manual stop loss I do have. So if I do see a share price fall below $31, just sell. So follow my rules, sell at $31. The reason I'd sell at $31 is because that would show me there is a bit of weakness in the chart, because you don't want to see the share price fall below the price when it took off, when they released that positive trading update on the 23rd of August. I'm not sure if it was a positive trading update or something. It is results season, but this is a New Zealand-based company. So 23rd of August, profit guidance. Yeah, so it wasn't their results, just a really good upgrade, profit guidance. Anyway, so if I do see the share price fall below that, that would be negative. I wasn't getting nervous when the share price pulled back, because I knew there might be support once it gets to that level, and we have seen the share price rise since then. But I need to see the share price move above the old highs. Now, if I start to see the share price moving sideways, I might sell it at that point at a share price higher than $31. So that's Fisher & Paykel. Still looks okay. I don't mind this chart, but not as strong as it was back after they released that profit guidance update. Orthocell. This one's a good one. A beautiful looking chart, a beautiful breakout Orthocell. I'm pretty sure they're waiting for FDA, and pretty sure they are. They just did a capital raising, by the way. I was going to put FDA as a seed code. Here we go. $17 million placement to drive further growth as US approval nears. Now, will they get approval? So there is a bit of risk here, but I think the market is saying to us, yeah, they're going to get approval. Share price has taken off, really big volume coming through. So this company is a bit of a, I would say a market darling just yet. They've done the capital raising and the share price has not really collapsed after that. So I do like this chart. I would prefer a little bit of a pullback. I would love it to pull back to say 55 to 60 cents. It got close, but a nice looking chart. But I am just hoping there might be a little bit more of a pullback for this company. And then Polynovo is going from positive to negative. Polynovo is rolling over. So it was in an uptrend. It looked like it was trying to break out above about $2.60. It failed. You can see it tried to break out in July, then again in August, and then again in September. It failed to get any higher than $2.70. And there was definitely a bit of a flaw. So if I was trading this, I probably would have had my stop loss set at about $2.25. And during the week, it fell below that. In fact, on Tuesday, it fell 8.4%. Not sure what happened there. And the share price has kept on falling. So this is a chart that has gone from positive to negative fairly quickly. And this is sort of a situation where I probably would sell if I was trading. If I was trading, that's the appropriate word there, if I was trading. Now, there might be some holders of this company who are in Polynovo for the long term, and maybe the share price dropping is good for them because they might buy more shares. They might think it's cheap now, or it's cheaper, and now's the time to add to my position or your position in this company. But I would be trading this if I was trading this at all. Anyway, so I thought this is a Polynovo's chart is a nice little counterbalance to Orthocell. That's why I put it into this particular video, and that should be the last company of the day. So, and that's the video. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who's qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.